What's up, everybody? Welcome to ComicBook Nation, the only place that does it all for geek culture. I am Matthew Aguilar. With me is the always lovely Janelle Wheeler. And Kofi Outlaw will be joining us later in the show. So don't worry, you're gonna get your outlaw fix here in due time. But we got a lot to cover today. We're obviously gonna be talking about Mission Impossible, Lilo and Stitch. But first, we're gonna dip into some comics. It is Comic Book Nation after all. And we have the pleasure of having storm writer Murewa Ayodele with us. Can you jump into the show? How are you?
Hi, it's nice to be here.
Thank you so much for jumping in. We supremely appreciate it. We are big fans. Obviously, we're big. It is in the title after all. We are big fans of comics here, and we love to talk about it whenever possible. You have been working on Storm for a minute now, so we got lots to talk about here. So Janelle, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say that I have Storm sneakers. So Storm like in this special Kith collection, I was sent Storm sneakers and they knew that was my girl. So I
Nice.
loved this. I was so excited to just like focus in on Storm a little bit and deep dive in this story. So the first question I have for you is, I know you have loved Storm for quite some time, and I wanted to know, what did you want to highlight most about the character, and what do you feel is perhaps most underappreciated about her?
I think because from Nigeria. I'm currently in Nigeria at the moment.
Oh,
Sometimes when you're talking with other comic book creators, you can sometimes feel a little, not because of anyone's fault, a little alienated because maybe you're like the only one from Nigeria in like a meeting and things like that. So and I think it's something that Storm has always experienced. When she was in Cairo, she was the American in Cairo. When she was in Kenya, she was, the Egyptian that was in Kenya. And when she got to America, she was the Kenyan in America, and and then later she became the America that was in Morocco. So, and that's what she's always been. And she's someone that's never let where she's coming from, her background, affect how she carries herself. She's always carried herself as a goddess, as a queen, and it's something I also want to spotlight in this book, that it's not about where she's coming from, it's always about where she's going.
you absolutely did that, by the way. Like the whole entire time I was reading, I was like, whoever like decided to really like dive deep into the story and write this, and this was before I knew we were interviewing you, loves her. Like loves her. Like puts her on such a pedestal, and like it just wants so much shine for who she is deep down, like her heart. And like the soul of who she is. And this was such an awesome run. We've seen Storm collide with some of the most powerful figures in the Marvel universe, and in this run, she actually comes face to face with Doom, with the world under his thumb right now. How does that play into Storm's moving forward in their last confrontation? Like, what's going on
um
with Doom now?
um it's we know that Dr. Doom is currently the Sorcerer Supreme, and in our story we've been reminding the audience that Storm is actually mystic royalty. You the Vishanti, one of the major Vishanti is Oshto, an elder goddess, and that's like an ancestor of Storm. You know, she one of our other ancestors are Ashake and other Sorcerer Supremes, including the first Sorcerer Supreme, Agamotto. So she's that, and we're gradually building her up because she has not explored that side of our family, that side of our power sets, that side of our heritage. So we're gradually making her explore that side of our personality, of our background, and sooner or later, as she's exploring that mystical side, we expect to start seeing her have some encounters, either positive or negative, with characters like Doom, like Doctor Strange and
Yes.
Scarlet Witch, characters in the mystic side of things.
Strange is my favorite. So
You're
you
speaking her
sold.
language.
Sold. Anything Sorcerer Supreme. I just love seeing this side of Storm. So thank you for making this happen, honestly.
It's a pleasure.
There's a scene in it's one of the themes of the series really seems to be kind of like you mentioned, right? Like tapping into this unexplored side of Storm and really showing kind of how powerful, how regal, how she is, and how naturally she fits into this space, right? With all these other heavy hitters. But the other
Yes.
thing I feel like is what I've loved is that it's like this acceptance that she continues to exhibit. And there's an amazing scene, and I'm blanking on which issue it's in. I want to say it's like issue 3 or 4, but it's the one where she's looking for medical help, and she goes to the hospital, and there's a moment where you find out all wonderful sequence by itself, just as the reveals keep coming. Like, oh, he's a mutant. Oh, he was like, he loved the egg, like all that stuff. But then as there's a moment where she goes to say, well, I'm sorry, the ex, and then she stops herself, and then she's like, I'm sorry, we. And there's a lot of those
Yeah.
moments of her, like, okay, yes, whether it's Wakanda, whether it's her past in Cairo, all those things, she's kind of slowly just saying like, well, that's just a part of me. So I know there's more to it and it's complicated, but I'm just gonna accept that. That's just a part of where I'm going here. And I feel like that leads into her issues with the FBI, right? And we're starting to go
Yes.
through they're grilling her about all this stuff, and she's just kind of continues to, okay, I have to roll with this, right? But it's like this, just continually accepting who she is and all that she has been. Is that what has that kind of been for you exploring that?
It's a combination of a lot of things. Number one, like I always make fun of myself that I can sometimes be a petty writer, and this is because um, Storm has been, a supporting cast in a lot of X-Men comics, and to create drama, characters make mistakes, and but because she's not having a lot of screen time, sometimes we don't get her facing repercussions for those mistakes, or being accountable for those mistakes. So in our history, she has accumulated a lot of mistakes where you have some real life people criticize her, like, oh, this character is like a Mary Sue that has done all these things but has never faced repercussions for them. So now that we have a solo title, I see it as an opportunity to show that Storm can be accountable, and she's someone that even when she, even when if it's mistakes of others or mistakes of herself, she's ready to face them and address them and find a way to fix them. In subsequent issues that will even be coming out, we're going to even be addressing the fact that she used to be a thief. We've always known she used to be a thief. We know it's something that she doesn't shy away from mentioning, but we're about to bring a new dimension to it. Why did she stop? And how hard was it for her to stop? One thing that people forgot is that she suddenly left Egypt and she walked on foot to Kenya. That is quite a distance if you understand how big Africa is. It's basically moving from North Africa to East. It's serious. It's quite a journey, and I think it's because she didn't want to live that life anymore. And but it's all those little things that it's not been put plainly in text that would start addressing properly to show that it's someone that she can be very accountable. She recognizes wrongdoings and she's ready to address them and fix them and see how we can move forward, because it's all in her characters, it's all in her background, but it's time to put it in plain text.
Fantastic. Yeah, and that look, you're still, as we hit issue 9 next month, you're still kind of touching on acceptance, but also things that happened in the first issue, right? We had this terrible, tragic, um, really, massacre in a way.
Yeah.
This terrible tragedy
Yeah.
that happened, and we're we're still dealing with those things, and those still come up, right? And
Yes.
there's a child at the center of this that very much ties into those mutant, persecution, racism themes that X-Men has, to me, has always been synonymous with. I will beyond that hill to the day I die. We're for this child though that comes up, and that is really taken on a very different meaning for Storm. What can you kind of tease, number one, about the FBI and this kind of continuing confrontation between Storm and them, but also where this child fits in, and kind of tease when that will kind of come back into play?
Um. Okay, so this is why I get a little bit heavy, and it's sometimes when we talk about colonialism and the states that Africa is in, um, it sometimes doesn't seem obvious. Like some people say, why is a lot of countries developed and some African countries are failed to develop, and so many things like that. And sometimes it doesn't seem very obvious, except you live in those countries, to find out that there are some strategic actions that were done by the former colonial masters that have destabilized those nations, that it's very hard to repair. Sometimes, some countries have this perfect ecosystem of like a three tribe system, where they see themselves as equals and stuff, and they've existed for centuries in that perfect harmony. And then the colonial masters, kind of make one feel above the rest, and even though they've left, that symbiosis has forever been shifted. And because there's that disharmony, cooperation is lost in that place, and then there's never development ever again. So it's those little things. And it's something I want to highlight with the FBI, that some battles are not about, oh, you have these huge power sets, you are strong as Thanos. You know, some people have this power because they can destabilize unity. They can use their words in ways that you don't know. They can use legislation in powerful ways that can bring down a god. So, and that's the things that those are the kind of things I want to explore with the FBI. And the child that came up in issue 1 is going to be coming back in the latest issue. Is going to be tied in with the FBI as well, because the child is going to be revealed to be an Omega level mutant, and we'll see why the FBI wants that child and the game they are playing. And as we also moving into issue 10 to issue 12, we're going to be leading into something we're going to call the Thunder War, and it's going to be Storm going up against a pantheons of thunder gods. We're talking about Shango, Susano, from the Norse mythology, from the Greek mythology, Tlaloc, from all the corners of the world. And you're going to see the politics that they're going to get up to amongst each other, and we're going to see Storm amongst them, and they are not going to be in support of her basically, and it's going to be about will Storm be defeated by them, or will she come out of it as this badass god slayer, or it's we don't know where it's going to. I know where it's going to, of course, but it's crazy. It's going to be it's great. It's going to be fun. It's exciting, and we read about great Greek mythologies, like the Titanomachy, where we saw the Titans and the Greek gods were going up against each other, and the politics they play amongst each other. We're going to see that level of intrigue, of politics and stakes happen between those gods, and also happen within the cosmic entities. We've always been hearing about death, about oblivion, about eternity, about infinity. But how do they interact with each other? How do they interact with the one above all? Is one of them trying to assassinate the one above all? All that is going to happen in the Thunder One. Is going to be a very, very exciting story arc.
Oh my god, that sounds epic. I have no
Really
poker face. I
epic.
apologize. I don't give me that. Before I nerd out for a second, Janelle, did you have anything you wanted to throw in?
Honestly, I just want to say this is a really, really special read. And I know that, not everyone can read every single run of every book, but like this is one that just is so it's just so magnificent. I don't know how else to say that. Also, beyond the incredible story, it's
Oh my
gorgeous.
god, the art kicks.
Oh my God.
Stunning. The These characters are hot. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah.
They are sexy. They are so, all of them. Like I saw Voodoo and I was like, hey,
Damn.
like, yes, I was like, oh my gosh, I really am enjoying this. So I just want to, I kind of am on here to explain. I'm kind of on here as like the noob comic reader. I started in 2020, and this is by far up there with some of my favorites that I've read since beginning. So I just really want to say, like, highly recommend for anyone who hasn't checked it out yet. Thank you for making it.
Yes, seriously. And also perfect time for Rich to bring up the cover. He knows what he's doing back there.
Yeah.
He brings up the covers right as we were talking about the gorgeous artwork and the interiors. Yes. One thing I know we gotta let you go, and I can't thank you enough for jumping on. I just wanted to say thank you. This isn't even a question. Thank you for treating Maggot like the badass he is. I adore that character. I'm one of his 10 fans.
I love
figure
Matt.
now you are the the ninth or whatever, right? Like I figure
Maggot deserves more love.
He's so, oh my god, he's so good, and he is being treated so well in this series. And I love Eenie Meenie, and I just love we're getting to see him just shine a little bit. So yes, thank you. That wasn't even a question. Thank you for that.
Yeah, welcome. It was my pleasure. I love that character so much.
It's so good. Oh, it's so fantastic. Thank you so much for jumping on. Of course, you can catch Storm number 1 through 8 right now. First chapter in trade as well. So if you want to check it out, we have a lot of love in the comments for the series. Brywood, Dream Fresh, Zach G is excited. So thank you so much for taking the time, and for the book. We will be following the rest of the way into Thunder War. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview. Let's get our fearless leader, Kofi Outlaw, in here. Woo woo!
Yay! There he is. Let's go.
Take the show away.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
And you're muted.
Oh yeah. We'll get that.
What's up, everybody?
There you are. Yay! You sound great.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm here. So unfortunately, I would have loved to hop in and, bring another African person into this conversation, but I have 2 kids running around downstairs and a lot to do today, so I don't have time to mess around here. We are going to jump right into the trailer of the week this week, and it was Jurassic World. So I'm not going to watch this. You guys can watch this. I'm already sold, but I assume that they tell you more about the dinosaurs and the island of it all and who the characters of it all are. But yeah, what are you guys thinking? What's the comment? What's the chat thread thinking? Do we think, because to a certain extent, as people have pointed out, there are many Jurassic movies where they're like, this other island was the island you didn't know about. And
is there like 4 islands at this point?
Yeah, there's like 15 islands at this point. But this is Gareth Edwards, director of Rogue One, director of Godzilla. And, do we think that this one is going to be different? I do. I just see the setups of the sequences. There's already like 2 or 3 sequences. This feels like it's very kind of got that big screen Mission Impossible, like Jurassic World 3 or Jurassic Park 3, if you watch it, is clearly a B movie on a budget. Like everything's in these skinny little jungles or the bird cages or whatever. These set pieces are smaller. This looks big. The effects, Gareth Edwards' whole claim to fame is his, photorealistic visual effects and how much of that he can put into a shot. And this looks like a good setup with like some good, good characters. And Yeah, I'm ready. It's just taking us back to the idea that yes, compared to dinosaurs, we are kind of lesser on the food chain, and now we're taking that even when we have experienced humans, like like that sequence with the pterodactyls or whatever specific dinosaur they'll turn out to be. Don't come at me, dino nerds. It's going to be pretty smart, and it looks pretty well set up to be a tense suspense kind of action thriller movie. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to get back to that harder edge. I always love that harder edge. And we have an excellent article by our own Lisa Lahman, who wrote about kind of the horror edge of Jurassic Park and kind of taking us back to remembering that this movie series started with that scene with a group of people in an unseen, the classic Spielberg Jaws effect. You don't see the monster, but it's like in the cage and it grabs somebody and rips the hell out of that guy. And it's pretty horror movie, right? You just hear screams and shreds and monster screams. And that's how we start Jurassic Park. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and we forget that. We always think about, finding the mosquito in the amber or whatever. No, Jurassic Park starts off on a horror note, and let's get back to that. Here's the question I will throw out to the room. Are we getting too crazy with these super mutant dinosaurs, the big bads? Because we've had like Indominus Rex, we had the whatever raptor in the one film. Now we're getting whatever mutant this is.
You remember what this one's called? I don't remember what this one's called. It's gonna bother me.
I don't remember. I don't need to know yet. Is it Fearosaurus? I don't know. It's gonna be something.
I didn't even realize they did that. I thought it was just regular old dinosaurs because they're scary enough.
Yeah. Like the swimming T-Rex thing is pretty
swimming T-Rex is honestly the thing that I felt about this this trailer is that I'm scared. It's actually scary. I feel like some of the other trailers I just kind of understood the story and I was like, oh, they're living on the edge, this is cool, but this built a lot of tension and fear in me, especially in the very 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 beginning when they have the scientists locked behind the doors. It's like classic horror to me. I guess that feels like a horror moment.
It's called.
Right,
we weren't too far off on the name. It's called Distortus Rex.
I would have never gotten that though.
Yeah, you would have. It's a distorted mutant. It's a T-Rex mutant with 6 arms. So there you go.
Oh my god.
So,
okay, yeah, I don't need that. I really don't.
Oh yeah, bring on the mutant dinosaurs. I need more of those mofos in this movie. I need 4 of those. I am all about that, right? Here's the thing. What because I think what Kofi is saying is right on as far as the edge vibes to Jurassic Park, Jurassic World needs those because it has to keep you invested in the tension. And over the course of the Jurassic World trilogy, films, especially the first one, kind of I feel tried to get you to relate to them more and it almost in a more empathetic way, and which is great. But then when the kind of bigger threat dinos would come out, I felt there was less tension there because oh, okay, I'm not as fearful of them. And I feel over those other 2 movies, they did that. So regardless of the fact that yes, the big bad was incredibly lethal and killed people, I didn't have that dread in however long this trailer lasts, especially this new one right here, this moment where the scientist is being shoved up against the thing and not even then, it's just when the door shuts and he's like, oh my god, let me out. It's what Kofi says all the time, right? Let actors act, actors being actors, right? It's that kind of thing. It brings attention to that. And then when you see the claw and the face and the red light, they've done such a good job. I am terrified of that thing, and that is awesome. And I want that. I need that. So I am excited for this. We still have cuteness too, right? There's a little scene where you got this little what looks like a little triceratops in the backpack. That's for me. I love that.
Same.
But I still want the dread to balance that out. And so far, this has got me. I think this is probably the last trailer I need to see, but I needed this trailer.
Also, I love Scarlett in this. Scarlett Johansson just seems made for this. It's awesome.
I mean, yeah, she's ready to be an action star for a long time. I mean, she did Black Widow and all that. There's a couple things I do want to address that were kind of coming out of the chat. One is, yes, I think there will be a sense of wonder in this one from the set pieces and the location. And, you know, there's that rock climbing sequence. Like the sense of scale and wonder will be in this kind of lush, forgotten island in its environment and discovering what's happened there as the dinosaurs have naturally been able to reign and kind of live and get comfortable there. So there will be that discovery of this world of dinosaurs, that wonder. I'm sure we'll get the theme music coming in at some point. I'm not worried about that. What I am more worried about is my wallet for July, because yes, as is being pointed out by Zach G, July is about to be expensive month with Superman, Jurassic World Rebirth, Fantastic Four. I mean, those are the three off the top of my head I'm thinking of. I don't even remember if there's more releases.
Movies are
besides
expensive.
that.
3 is enough.
Yep. So going to be expensive month, but it's all must see TV. So yeah, I don't need to see any more of Jurassic World Rebirth. I mean, you got Scarlet, you got dinosaurs, you got Mahershala. I mean,
Yes.
so easy sell. Right on. Moving right along.
I'm so bummed about this, Kofi. This is the first I saw this.
Yeah, so we got a quick update from the DC side. Why don't you tell the people what you're disappointed in?
HBO confirms bad news for DC fans waiting for Penguin season 2. And Kofi called this from the start. And I was wanting to believe that it wouldn't happen. But I feel like a lot of us have been holding out hope for season 2. And because they did nominate themselves or put their name in the running for this award, we're
limited series at the Emmys instead of regular series. Yeah.
That's pretty
It's the
much
opposite of Shogun. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty much saying nope, that's not going to happen, and that's a bummer. I mean, luckily I had a Kofi in my life telling me that this would happen, so I was prepared for it. But I was hoping that maybe it wouldn't happen, and they haven't like come out and said there's no season 2. But I mean, right? This is pretty much saying nope.
So yeah, if the ongoing discussion we've been having was that last year FX and Disney did this play with their hit series Shogun when it went to the Emmys. They kind of had looked at it, and they had kind of had problems with other series before that got awarded, like things like HBO's Watchmen was submitted for Emmys as a limited series and swept in those categories, but did not really make as big of an impact at the Emmys that HBO would have hoped, or with comic book fans, because it didn't win the biggest or the most Emmys that it could have won in the major categories. Because limited series to most the average Joe is just still looked at as like one of those Oscar categories you go to the bathroom during, you know what I mean? So it's not like anybody's on the edge of their seat like, oh, who's gonna win limited series? I got the Vegas odds on this one. Like, nobody's doing that. So it was this question with Penguin, and I wrote about this. It's on the site. Go read it. But we were asking, like, what would the Emmys race would kind of indicate what was, no matter what they said in the PR and the DC studios put out in front, like, we would know from the Emmys race what they were planning to do with this. The fact that they've submitted it as a limited series kind of is a soft kind of coffin nail, saying that this was a one-off, a one and done. We're not coming back to do season 2. We're submitting because if they were, they would have gotten plans in motion. All they need to do is activate a writer's room and say, oh, we're in development. And then they can get that larger Emmy sweep. So I'm surprised by this for several reasons, because I still don't even know if Shogun season 2, they keep saying they're making progress, but I don't even know if that's happening. Like, I always speculated they could just say, oh, we got lost in development. Oops. And then it just doesn't happen. And you walk home with all your record-breaking number of Emmy wins. So DC and Warner Brothers could have done the same thing. Like, they could have been like, hey, we're developing something. Oh, plan change, shared universe. You know how that is. But they could have swept at the Emmys. The fact that they're not even going that route, like, it just kind of communicates, at least to me, that they're planning on, they want to be very clear about the lanes of this, about what is going to be what and what's going to be what, and that they are making it very clear and plain that this Penguin thing was a one-off. We're not trying to keep this part of that universe going. And yeah, and there could be larger implications. We've heard progress on the Batman 2 this week, I believe. Did we get an update on that?
Yeah, it was essentially that Reeves, the report says that Reeves is expected to have the first draft of the Batman 2 in by Memorial Day.
Interesting.
So and
What a
that's been the
timeline.
holdup, right? Because like, Gunn and Safran have said, like, we don't move forward we're not even going to talk about movies and move forward in them in any real way until a script is in. And this script has felt like taking an attorney, which is partly why I was kind of okay with the Penguin news. Like, does it suck because we won't get a second season of a great show? Yes, but if you ever have any hopes of the Batman 2 happening, maybe it's good that the Penguin season 2 isn't happening, because we don't want like a George R.R. Martin situation to happen where all this other stuff keeps going and then the main thing is not. So, I mean, maybe it's good. Maybe it's good news for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see. I think they're trying to get this done quick. I think this is going to be the capitulation. Like, tell your Batman second story, get this done, get everybody out, and let me get to my Batman thing by 2028. I think that's the new plan. But we'll see. I'm just always trying to interpret the tea leaves here. So we're going to see where this goes. Okay, we should take a break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about the new Superman, or we're going to talk about, is a DCU jumping into a multiverse thing. We're going to get into that whole thing. And we have 2 big movies to talk about this week. Plus, Matt has to go off on a whole Avenger. This is a very Matt episode, so strap on in. We'll be right back.
I'm so sorry.
And we're muted.
We are back and unmuted now, so let's talk Superman trailer. We talked about it last week, yes?
Yes.
You
we
did.
broke
It was a
down
great
last
discussion, by the way.
Yes, I was proud of us.
Yeah. So here's the question this week.
Okay.
We got the reveal of one character. Hold on. Oh my God. All right. I
Collect.
tried to eat something before this, and then now it's stuck like in my teeth, in my mouth. And it's just crazy. So now I have to chew.
Here, I'll
This is
take a
terrible.
sip of tea. We'll just take a
I'm
moment.
just take a sip for a minute.
I will actually say real quick, because I loved your discussion on Superman last week.
Were you here? Not here? Oh, you were at the DM. Yeah, you had to.
Yeah, I was at the DMV.
I don't know what time it is. This has been a crazy week.
So what I will say while y'all are taking your quick regrouping is that I love that discussion, and you hit on all the points that I would have also talked about. So I'm just gonna say I loved it. I was that trailer
made Matt proud.
That trailer was just, oh my God. I watched that. Ironically, I watched the Jurassic World trailer multiple times, and I watched the Superman trailer multiple times for completely different reasons. One was like, this inspiring thing that I just like gave me chills, and the other one just, scared me out of my boots. But it was awesome. Both were awesome. Just
yeah, there were some interesting things that I've heard, because I did a lot of I survey I survey you losers out there in the geek sphere, all you other pundits and shows.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Just to amuse myself
We'll
sometimes.
be
I
losers
watch all of you.
together.
Nah, man.
got spicy.
Yo, what we do over here, we're never gonna get properly credited for it. But like what we do over here, we fire off a live show every week. We cover a variety of topics. It's nuts. We watch so much stuff. Yeah,
We
man.
do watch a lot of stuff. It's
Yeah.
not always the
Let those
easiest-
let the companies keep paying the people they're paying. Go ahead, throw your money away. I heard a lot of takes. I heard a lot of interesting takes. I mean, I'm kind of getting the measure. I think David Corn Sweat is still on the fence for some people. I think he's there
Wow.
for me as a very different
Me
kind of
too.
Superman.
Yeah.
The more I see of the range of his performance, the more I like it. There was a lot of interesting debate about the Superman Lois kind of that scene and what that was all about.
Mhm.
When
But
he yelled at her?
I think and that some
Yeah,
people
but
didn't
that was
take
like
that.
passion.
But he wasn't. Yeah, exactly. He wasn't yelling at her. He was frustrated.
He was
He's a very powerful man, but he
scrambling.
can't. He doesn't know what to do with it and how to use it in that moment.
Emotional overload.
Yeah, and so
Emotional damage. Sorry.
yeah, but that's if you're a deep Superman reader, like you know that Superman has those moments. Those are like the
Mhm.
quintessential Superman moments. Is when
Thank God he
Superman's
does.
all around and he's frustrated because he has all the power, but he can't do enough, and that like tears at him.
Mhm.
That's what Superman's all about because he
When he's
wants
too
to save everybody.
perfect, it's not interesting. Like,
Exactly. So I mean, but anyway, what we're here to talk about today is the reveal, the toy line, of course, spoiled who this person in a black suit is. And, if you didn't get it from the big U on his chest right there,
oh
it's
my gosh.
Ultraman. So they've confirmed it's Ultraman.
Seriously.
For all us geeks, the debate is now, is James Gunn going to do one of those kind of evil clone reveals? Because they've kept Ultraman in a suit for a reason, right?
Mhm.
Like, presumably, we think at some point in the trailer actually suggests this when he's flying through that weird kind of incursion looking space and somebody fires an I-beam at him. We know that there's going to be that Ultraman probably comes out of his suit at a certain point. The question is, what is he underneath that suit? So there's a lot of speculation about this. Is it going to be some version of Bizarro or an evil Superman clone like we see? Or is they're going to actually do the version of Ultraman who's from another Earth and from Earth 3 in the crime syndicate? Are we setting the stage for that? That's particularly a big question because that means like this would be the official confirmation that we are immediately jumping into the DC multiverse, which is, a big part of DC lore, Earth 2, Earth 3, particularly. But there's growing evidence of this with Peacemaker's trailer also having that little end cap scene where Peacemaker meets another Peacemaker in this room full of doors that presumably were his father's way of kind of hopping through the multiverse.
Mhm.
So would you guys rather have the classic evil clone, evil reflection of hero battle, or are you comfortable with James Gunn taking us into a superhero multiverse just when we're trying to get the hell out of one?
Oh man.
Yeah, this wasn't easy. I told you. These other
So, okay. So one of the things that I have always loved about DC is that as opposed to Marvel, the multiverse aspect has not, it's always been baked in with both stories and both universes, but it's been a huge part of like DC's comics identity. Whereas Marvel, it was this thing that happened that sometimes can create cool stories and like they would collide and we get an alternate whatever, right? Because I mean, look, it's Earth 616 for, the 616 for a reason, right? It was always there like, hey, there's other stuff out there. And obviously with the Ultimate Universe and that stuff really kind of took off in that regard. But like DC, multiple Earths, that's has always been a part of its kind of feels like its DNA. It's intrinsic to what makes DC in the comics kind of special. It's always kind of set out here. Now, not everyone likes it, and that's totally fine. But because it has as many detractors as it has fans, but it's always been there in some form. And so it always feels more natural and also kind of authentic for it to be reflected in the movies. Marvel kind of pivoted into that and then made that, oh, we're going to dive into this and whatever. But it always kind of felt like that's never been a core piece of its DNA. It's always been part of it, but it's never been a core piece. So it always felt a little like shoehorned on in some respects. And I'm not talking about the Ultimate Universe. That's obviously its own thing. But and Absolute is the same way, right? But like, even when the Absolute came, it's still part of this other thing. It didn't feel out of bounds because like, oh, DC's always done this. So I feel like if you're going to approach a movie that is supposed to be in the middle of like the life cycle, supposedly, right? Like all of these things are happening. This isn't a Superman origin story. This is an established DC world. How the hell can you not have it? You don't have to completely 100% pivot into it and make that the only thing that your universe is about. And I feel like that's what Marvel did and has now sort of had to backtrack on and try and fix, because that's kind of what Marvel did in a sense. It kind of leaned so heavily into that, and that's what everything was about. It's like, okay, whoa. In this, I feel like it needs to be a part of the world, but it doesn't have to necessarily be all of it. I feel like you can have your cake and eat it too. It's just a matter of execution. So I'm okay with it as long as they get it right. That's me.
Yeah, I always loved the multiverse. Like that's just something that I'm just super into, because I think my love with like the Doctor Who stuff, and you know, obviously there's a lot of like mysticism stuffies. It's just not like, it's not just all like face value, right? And it's not just like earthbound, and it's heady, and I just love that. But I think I kind of touched on this before. I just don't want them to do too much in this first film with this new DC stuff, because to me, I just want like a reintroduction. I just want to know where we are, keep it simple. I don't need a bunch of villains. I don't need a ton of cameos from other people. I just want to really focus on getting to know Lois, getting to know Superman. Like, I know this isn't an origin story, but it would be nice to just feel like this deep connection with a smaller cast and a smaller world to start. Like, I don't mind it going into that because I love the multiverse stuff. But when I did watch last week's, or when I did watch the trailer, I got a little kind of nervous about like, wait, who's that guy? Who's this person? Who's that? Like, I just don't need all of that. But I also, on the other hand, so trust James Gunn. Like, I just blindly trust James Gunn. There's not really anything he's put out that I've hated or that I haven't really been on board with. So I'm okay with a multiverse, but I don't need it personally. I don't need that right now. Kofi?
I mean, what
How
is
do you
there to
feel
say?
about
Like, I mean, I don't feel any kind of way. If they pull it off right, then it's pulled off right.
Mhm.
There's a way to pull this off and settle the old DCEU while acknowledging it exists, to connect the characters you're carrying over to the new universe, like Waller, like Peacemaker. I suspect they're waiting to see how this plays before. I think that Waller series was a lot more about her doing the thing from the comics, like hopping through multiverse and gathering different things and playing with the idea of learning that there's a multiverse and controlling that. Like, I think that's a lot more about that, but they're waiting to see how this plays first for, like, you know, the Janelles of the world who say like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? And can they handle the concept of all this? My big wonder is there a different version of Corin Sweat under there? Could they pull off some huge surprise? And some have speculated like it's Henry Cavill under there, like that they go
What?
and get
Please don't.
some. I mean, I don't know if you do that. That if it would be fun to see Henry Cavill if they do the real Ultraman, like the one from Earth 3, and have him be that character. That would be kind of funny because Ultraman isn't like a exact clone of Superman.
Yeah, but then that's all anyone talks about, and then it's Black Adam all over again.
I feel like Henry's too salty about everything. I don't know.
I don't know.
You
man.
don't.
I
Nobody
want
knows
distance.
anything. Nobody
I
knows
want
what's going
distance.
on behind there.
He
But it could
deserves
be-
more.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad if it's a different version of Corin Sweat.
I'd be
Like
fine
under
with that.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
if you
just
have
saying
double-
Cavill. I'm
do
saying
the Logan.
Cavill, the Snyderverse of it all. at this point, it has taken so long, and we're still not past those connections and that baggage.
Certain fans.
This needs to separate itself in that regard. Like, it can refer to like, hey, that's a world out there, but like having him show up in any casting of any character would be another wink and a nod and another thing. It's not like him showing up in Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Like, that's a different thing entirely.
I think it's crazy enough to actually work. Here's why. You do it. Here, what happens? You instantly catapult this movie to another stratosphere of conversation right off the bat. You get these fans, you get all the Snyder bros who will come out and have to either hate watch this to see Cavill and how they depict him, or they'll be thrilled that their DCEU isn't gone and it's a part of this, and they'll come and see that. Even if you just reveal that in an end fight and then you leave off Ultraman somewhere and you don't close that door and you just leave it out there, the buzz from that is insane. Because then can you get Ben Affleck back as Owlman or something?
See, that's the problem right there. The whole theory is it starts spiraling and becomes this thing that they now have to deal with again. No, that's a terrible idea.
I think Peacemaker is soft walking us into the idea that they're going to deal with it.
Well, they're soft.
Gunn's going to deal with it directly.
It's a dumb idea.
Because who are those two Peacemakers? One's the DCEU Peacemaker who met the Justice League, and the other's presumably going to be the DCU Peacemaker. And all of us think that, many people think Peacemaker Season 2 is going to end with those two having a big fight, the DCEU killing the DCU Peacemaker and taking his place. That's kind of fine. That's right. Fine. So if we're doing that,
well, no, see, that's the problem. There is a stopping point. You don't have to keep going and then poison it to the point of then you're having the same arguments all over. We'll be right back in a year having the same conversations we had 7 months ago. We're not even past it. No,
it's never going to end. I've been doing this for 20 years, and we're almost 20 years.
Snyder Bros.
It's not going to end.
So over.
I was there for Justice League Mortal when it was almost going to be a thing when I started in this business.
Yes,
and we have never stopped debating this.
I agree, but we shouldn't keep making the same mistakes. And your theory is the same mistake. Quit it. At some point, someone will stop doing the same stupid thing, and maybe we can stop debating it.
Release the Ultraman cut.
See, right there. That's the first thing that'll come out.
He's trolling you, Matt.
He's the embodiment of what I'm saying. That's a real comment.
I've learned that I'm a disruptor. I want to see everybody up in arms. I want to see Corin Sweat versus Cavill on screen. Duke it out. Let the fanboys foam at the mouth. I want to see people fainting in the theater. I want to see it all. Oh yeah, let's go.
So great, inspiring into a Twitter troll fest.
Oh, it's gonna be great. It'll be great. But this is all speculation. We might even it just could be just dude in suit. Ultraman could just be superpowered dude in suit.
Okay, that's a great comment though. Oh my god, he wants to watch the Versus. That's great. What happened to Versus? Can we bring that
pandemic? Yeah, we need, and then rights. Yeah, they got.
Who's Ray J in this? Which universe?
Nobody. Nah, this will be the Locks versus Dipset. Corin Sweat's that Dipset swag. But
who's got
Cavill's got harder.
That's who wins it.
Yeah. Well, it depends if Cavill rips off that mask and busts a freestyle, which is not beyond him. So
hey, you never know.
Yeah, so I don't know. But we're going to keep an eye on this because I think James Gunn's done a very good job of giving us so much of a story that we think we know that there's going to be twists. He always has twists in these. You have Starro at the end of the Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
So, what is this going to be? We're going to say. But I think they are doing the multiverse, and it's going to be interesting to see how we get out of one with Marvel and then jump into one with DC and how that plays. All right, let's talk about in the theater. So, what's at the movies this week? Well, Matt, of course, went to see the Disney movie. You know he did. So we'll let him talk about that in a minute. Stitch, as I spelled it here. But I went to see Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So let's talk Mission Impossible. I did a lot of study for this week. So I went to see Final Reckoning. I also rewatched Dead Reckoning. just because I wanted to make sure like I could keep these two thoughts in my head. The Final Reckoning kind of falls squarely in the middle of the Mission Impossible pack for me, but I have decided as of this broadcast that it is ahead of Dead Reckoning for me. I rewatched Dead Reckoning, and yeah, this movie's much more back to the more complete feeling of a Mission Impossible movie. Set pieces, big stunts. There's the one stunt in this. While there are fewer stunts in action for Tom Cruise in this because he's old, first off, yeah, the COVID years have not been kind to this cast. The COVID years have not been kind to this cast. I mean, Ving Rhames, they don't shy away from Ving Rhames and some of the struggles he's having in real life with health. Tom Cruise definitely looks like his face is just like becoming a mask of his face in this. Even Simon Pegg looks old. Only Haley Atwell, who's just must be absorbing the life force from these old men and using it to revitalize herself because she looks better than ever. Like I don't think she's ever looked more better in a movie before this one. So she's killing it. Like Haley Atwell is that girl right now. So awesome on her. But I will say that, yeah, there are some still big, huge stunts in this that I would argue are better than Dead Reckoning. The sub sequence in this will make you like edge of your seat. I mean, for IMAX alone is worth it. The sub sequence in this is so crazy and just like I couldn't even breathe. And I'm like, I don't like hydro stuff and underwater stuff. And so, yeah, it was crazy with that. It has some better kind of supporting actors. What's his name? Tremel, my boy from Severance, Tremel Tillman. And Katie, what's her name? She was in, oh my God, she was in, what show was she in? She in Obi-Wan, and she was just in that Kristen Stewart movie. Chat, help me out here.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk like you streamer losers. Like, yeah, got you, Janelle. I meant like the huge streamers like the Aiden Ross is like.
No, yeah,
chat, help me out, chat.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I tried to watch those just to give it a chance because my son's getting into this, and I was like, "This is what these assholes are famous for."
I don't
really
understand.
Katie O'Brien, thank you. See, our chat is actually really on point. Katie O'Brien, who was in, love The Mandalorian. She was in the second season of The Mandalorian. She was the kind of Imperial spy lady. Anyway, so she's in it. Like she's on the sub. Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso is in it. And everybody who kind of appears in this is just great. Even Nick Offerman from Parks and Rec has a great little kind of mini arc in this as one of Angela Bassett's presidential. So they do a lot of tricks in this because Tom Cruise is old and he can't have as many fight action scenes as he used to. They just can't do that. So there's a lot more exposition and story. The beginning of this, there's a lot of Tom Cruise ego in this. Holy frijoles. The whole opening is just him standing in a sizzle reel of every Mission Impossible movie stunt and just like some exposition like, we've been here a long time. We got it. We've come a long way. Every time I've saved the world. And you're like, bro, just let it go. Rest your knees. We love you. We don't need a movie to celebrate your whole thing, like your whole legacy, but we do. But it's more coherent than Dead Reckoning because of that whole COVID filming thing they had to do there. It feels like they actually made a big movie again. It's worth it in IMAX. Like I said, while there may be fewer, the stunt sequences we do get in this one are really big and really, really like movie theater worthy. The subsequence, the final battle with two like crop dusting planes flying and Tom Cruise hopping like
that's right. Is that the one where he's grabbing the side of the plane and all that we've seen?
Yeah, no, there's a whole end fight that's on two kind of those aerial kind of, those crop duster planes flying side by side and like him actually on that aerial plane, like hopping, flipping, and like trying to have a fist fight on these two planes. It's pretty gnarly.
Props to him. I couldn't do that at my youngest and most fit, which lasted about 6 months.
Yeah, no, none of us could.
No, he's doing that at what? How old is he? I don't know how old Tom Cruise is. I'll look it up. How old is Tom Cruise?
Yeah, it's nuts because you can see just the wind 62, resistance.
My word.
Yeah, the wind resistance and the geo forces that are hitting him when he's doing this. Like you think an action movie, like we think, oh, you just hop from the plane, but no, Tom Cruise is really out there. You see his cheeks like
that's insane.
It's a whole subplot of the fight that he has to get behind the windshield and find some goggles just so he can see, because the wind is like whipping in his face and he can't actually see really well. And so it's all about that. So it's pretty nuts, man. But I will say that yeah, there's a lot of crazy plot holes in the story though. And I think the most disturbing thing about it is it's very disjointed from Dead Reckoning. These feel like two completely different movies. Like they're not a two-part film. This is one film and then the other, and the connective thread is the beginning that said, it's been months since the entity got out. The world is now this. Ethan, it's one of those, the mission, if you choose to accept it, tapes where we get the scissor reel and it's just like glazing Ethan Hunt for 2 straight minutes. And it's just like, hey, Ethan, we're contacting you because you've saved the world and done all this stuff. And like, yeah. So all in all, a mixed bag, but very good theater, visual entertainment. What you pay for in the Mission Impossible series to see Tom Cruise do those big stunts, to do those impossible missions, and seeing Ethan Hunt make it out and doing all that is what you want and what you pay for. And you get it with this for sure. And like I said, it's bigger than Dead Reckoning and kind of better in that sense. But yeah, we need to end, and we're going to write this article. Hollywood, don't even bring up that two-part film stuff to us anymore. Like, just stop. Just make a film, end it, then make another film and reference the other film if you want to. But nobody except, I think, Infinity War and Endgame might be the only time this has really worked.
The Fast series didn't.
Oh, they're stuck. They're so stuck right now. They didn't
pull it off.
No,
I mean, I guess we'll see if that ever, if that ever comes, and maybe they I don't know.
Because we counted it up because we were thinking about doing a list about it, but it's only Infinity War and Endgame who have pulled it off, and Wicked stands to be like possibly the next GOAT to pull it off, and that's about it. Everybody else has crashed and burned trying to do this 2-film thing. Matrix.
I finally watched Wicked. I don't get it.
Wow, sorry. Again, I couldn't hold my rest.
There's always a landmine. Hey, Matt, why don't you save us and take us into something light like Lilo and Stitch?
Oh man. Yes. So Lilo and Stitch, saw it with the fam, and yes, by the way, I will have photos later. But we did. I was like, we're leaving with that popcorn bucket, and we did. It's here. That giant Stitch popcorn bucket. And I was like, it's coming home. That has got to be here. What a ice. Number one, just before we even got into the theater, right? There were a ton of Stitch outfits, clothes.
Wait, before you get in there, could I just answer something in the chat? You guys are crazy. The last 2 Harry Potter movies failed. The first one was terrible. Like, of those last 2 Deathly Hallows movies, that first one was boring as hell. What do you guys do? We're in a tent arguing.
Well, okay,
with each
depends
other.
on. Okay, well, wait. It depends on your measure of success, though, because at the box office they went fine, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying as experience watching 2 movies, it wasn't fulfilling. And Back to the Future is 2 different movies. 3 and 2, yes, that's how you do it. They're 2 standalone movies connected by a reference point of
but Back to the Future is not a part. That's not a part 1 and part 2. That's just a sequel.
No, 3. Right? Those are 3. Yeah, those was back in when we actually made actual sequels.
We're just talking about part 1 and part 2, like a definite cut in the middle. Because I don't consider that thing. But I did enjoy Deathly Hallows. I didn't it's not like my favorite, conclusion of all time or anything, but I still enjoyed it. All right, so back to Lilo and Stitch. Back to Lilo and Stitch. I am curious. I've seen it pop up like once or twice in the chat. So I will get back to this in a second. But I am curious about what changes people are kind of specifically referred to, because I've seen it from like 2 different people. So I am curious, because there are changes in every single or most of these remakes, these Disney live action adaptations. But for me, going into this, I was excited. I love the original Lilo and Stitch. I love the animated series. I'm a big fan. And Ember is also a big fan, right? So, and then also Anissa, like we had a trio of different ages, exposure to the character, all that stuff, right? And all of us walked away out of that theater loving it and probably going to go see it again at some point. I thought this was just delightful. It was everything, you go into a Stitch film, and I've said this on past shows how the marketing has done such an exceptional job at pitching this movie and putting Stitch in the forefront, and just his innate likability and, you know, adorableness, right? That's been at the forefront of their campaign. And this movie is, I mean, it's just that. It's across the board. He's delightful. The little girl that plays Lilo is wonderful. They have such great, there's so many great scenes between just the two of them, and you really get that, you know, look, I mean, I saw it in the comments earlier. I think it was This Is Nerding, you know, Hana meets family, right? That comes through. That is the theme, just like the original movie. They've changed some things around, but nothing that really bothered me. The only, if I have one kind of main criticism, and it's just wasn't, it's not my cup of tea. It was just like what they kind of, the approach they took with Jumba in this movie as compared to the original movie, I just didn't love. Like, Zach Galifianakis is fine uh in the movie as Jumba, and it didn't even really have anything to do with his design, like his character design. It was just like, this is a straight up more kind of villain role for him. And for anyone who's watched the original and also then the animated series, you know that kind of he becomes like a fixture of the family. Like, him and Pleakley kind of become uncles, right? And they're just kind of there and taking care of him. And there's this like lovable quality to Jumba, even though he is a mad scientist and he did create all these experiments. Like, it's all still wrong in that sense, but like, there's still this kind of lovable, empathetic quality to him. That's not here. They don't really go that way with him in the movie. So if I had like one kind
That's
of
a
thing that,
shame.
like, yeah, that's a change for me. So like,
Yeah, I
that was
don't
the
like
one that
that.
stuck out to me. But outside of that, there are changes, like, you know, to specific little plot points within the story, with, you know, with Lilo and things. But I actually ended up liking a lot of those.
Like, she's not
So
playing hide and seek in the dryer.
yeah, you know, that, you know, stuff like that. But again, like, it's so funny because like there was a lot made of that at the time, right? Of like, oh, you're taking away the, you know, the, I don't know, the little edge that Lilo and Stitch had.
The
You know, you're taking
magic.
away that, and like what it is to be a kid, and you just get into
Mhm.
things you're not supposed to. Oh no, there's plenty of that in this movie. Like, she's just being a kid. Her and Stitch get into all kinds of stuff, and it's funny. Stitch is just hilarious. Okay, there are some amazing moments where like, you've seen some of them in the trailers, but they actually, I was worried that kind of like, oh, all of the great parts are in the trailers, but that's not the case. There's actually a lot of the great parts in the movie without that. And even the far, like, the space stuff, and like the dealing with you know, kind of the people who send Jumba and Pleakley off to find him and all that. That's actually fun. They do some stuff with that as well. Between all of us, there were some tears. There's some heartfelt little gut punches, and some of them include Stitch, some of them just the extended family and things. It was great. This was exactly what I wanted from this movie. You do leave with there's, you know, you leave with kind of like, oh, I could see how they could do one, at least one more, if not, you know, a couple more, right? Like, there's no like overt kind of, hey, here's the sequel. It's not like Sonic, right, where you get the setup for like Amy at the end of Sonic 3, like, even though we lost it on that one too. But like, it's still, you can take this plenty of ways if you want to. But I thought this was fantastic. If you're gonna take the family, or if you're just going for yourself because you're a big Stitch fan, this is great. I couldn't recommend it more, and delightful. We'll probably end up seeing it again at some point. So yeah, that's Lilo and Stitch. What? Oh, sorry. What is? I don't know what that means.
It means keep going. Why do I have to jump in? You're gonna keep going here. Like,
That's
the next thing is you.
agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
On the
well,
docket.
I
Let's
always give
go.
the segue if Janelle wants to split. If you need to go, you can before my my random
No,
wrestling. By the way,
I'm gonna
spoiler
listen to your rant. I love it. I've been more into wrestling lately, so
Woohoo! All
trying.
right,
I'm
so
trying.
yeah,
Well, I'm
this
actually
weekend,
gonna drop off. You can do this because I got to go check on 2 children. So you
boom.
can
Go.
knock this out and close the show. So everybody in the
All
chat,
right.
take it easy, and welcome to Matt's world.
So
Love it.
yes, this weekend, there's big movies. Obviously, we've talked about 2 of them in theaters, but there's also, I'm not kidding, a ridiculous amount of wrestling. So both days of the weekend, if you're going to, whether you're a fan of WWE or AEW or actually anything in between, because I believe there's also a TNA event before we even get to the weekend as well. But we'll start with Saturday night's main event. That is the first one. That one, I'm going to kind of just highlight some of the biggest things that caught my eye for these, because there's a lot of matches in these. But John Cena versus R-Truth is a championship match I did not really see coming on my 2025 bingo card, but here we are. And it will probably, and I think I actually wrote a story on this at one point, it will probably end up stealing the show, because R-Truth is fantastic just as a character, but also as a wrestler. Cena and R-Truth, like, they'll lean into the story stuff, right? I haven't necessarily loved Cena's more recent matches from a technical perspective, but from a storytelling perspective, I think they can do a lot with this one, and they'll probably work really well together. And so it's actually real. So Alex Glean mentions this because at one point it was kind of going around as, hey, wouldn't this be great if like R-Truth versus Cena was happening? And then like they went and did it, and R-Truth did a promo on Raw, I think it was, and like completely sold me on it. I was like, okay, that's that's crazy. And then the other one is Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, because this one, not from the actual match perspective, but from the where did they go from this? Because there's always a chance with Logan Paul matches that they give him the win and they end Jay's run early, and they just use it to fuel Logan's heel heat, right? There's always a chance with Logan Paul that they could do that. Most other places I would say like, oh, this is an easy win for Jay, but like, you don't know. WWE really can always lean into that heel heat with Logan and just go that way if they want. So always has me worried, but we'll see here. Then my only issue with WWE, because there's 4 matches total. My only issue with Saturday night's main event, number one, is that there's no women's matches on this card. And to me, that's ridiculous, because there's
that's a shame.
several women's storylines right now that could have fit a match on
I
this.
wonder why they did that.
Yeah, it was dumb. They shouldn't have done. They shouldn't have done, and especially, by the way, because your women's division is kind of carrying a lot of your product right now. So outside of like certain storylines, like they're the best thing going in your company, and you should highlight them on a pay-per-view like this. So anyway, NXT Battleground is next, and that is on Sunday. Now, here's the thing: NXT, if you are not watching NXT and you love women's wrestling, you should absolutely be watching NXT every single week, because it is the best place to find women's like it. They are doing so much great stuff with their women's division. They are kicking, and there's so many talented women on there right now. So like obviously at Battleground, the big championship match is Stephanie Vaquer versus Jordan Grace, which that should be a banger. But you also got Sol Ruka versus Kalani Jordan happening on that match as well, in that card as well, and that's going to be great. The other one is obviously Obafemi versus Miles Bourne. That is for the NXT Championship. And the biggest thing with this is that Miles Bourne, kind of came out of nowhere in this, in like, he's got a championship feud right now with Obafemi, right? And he's been part of kind of this group and not really pushed as like a single star, but he delivered a promo, and that was just phenomenal. I mean, he delivered a promo on Wednesday and then went, okay, I'm almost like, give the title to him. That's how great it was. And so I don't see him winning this, because I don't think the Obafemi train is stopping yet, but I will say that he needs to be pushed as a star. He's got it. I'm excited for that. And then the big thing, the big pay-per-view is on Sunday, is AEW's Double or Nothing. This one is, I can't go through all the matches because this is loaded. Like, to me, this is the, on paper and just the amount of talent that's in these matches and the amount of matches, I will say, like, this one is probably the one that looks to be, it could end up being the best of the weekend. It has on paper, it has the most compelling matches out of everything. Mercedes Moné versus Jamie Hayter is going to be great. Obviously Toni Storm versus Mina Shirakawa is going to be great. all of those workers are fantastic. The Anarchy in the Arena match will be mayhem because it will. I imagine it will be taking place again in the stadium, and they're going to go all over the place, and it's going to be a brawl, and there's probably going to be some insane spots that they'll be doing in that match. And then Will Ospreay versus Hangman Page is one that's just based on the talent involved alone is going to be great. But then also whoever wins that gets a shot at Jon Moxley's title. And my word, please somebody take that title off him. I'm so done with the Death Riders and all that mess. I just want it to be over. So whoever wins this match, I will be rooting for them because please end that. That has been, I have not loved that section and storyline of AEW. So yeah, that's what's going on in wrestling. Janelle, does any of that pique your interest? Is there one with you?
Yeah, a lot of it does. I will say that like my community has done a really good job of making me hyper fixate on Tony Storm.
Yes,
lately.
Tony.
So I've been just kind of like watching clips and like big moments in wrestling that have been happening. I will say it is unbelievable to me that you can cover all of this because I just had no idea how many events and how often and how long they go for. Like wrestling there's a lot. Like if there was this much Doctor Who, I wouldn't even have time to stream. Like it's crazy. Like so props to you. But yeah, I mean, I think I'll always have respect for wrestling. I'm not as deep down, I don't have like any specific one company that I only watch. I do know people who like won't watch AEW or NXT or whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, and of course, like shout outs. I watch Brandon Davis. When he wrestled. PG energy.
There's so much wrestling right now because like you brought him up, right?
Yeah.
NWA, OVW is happening, right? And then yeah, we didn't even cover TNA, and TNA has an
my
event.
God.
So like
so much.
There's so much, and then that's even just like kind of the majors, right?
Yeah.
Because like OVW is kind of like right alongside probably like a GCW, and like you have all those that are kind of here, right? And then you kind of have the bigger promotions like NWA and TNA kind of here, and then you have WWE and AEW, right? So like there's just on those levels, but then there's so many indie promotions. And yes, I did see in the chat, and yes, Joe Hendry over in TNA and Joe Hendry.
Oh, yes, Joe Hendry. I've been watching.
Okay, so he will be, by the way, on NXT Battleground because there's been an NXT TNA crossover for the past few months.
Okay.
And he will be defending his title against Trick Williams. So he will also be on NXT Battleground if you want to give that a watch. And he had his big WrestleMania moment with Randy Orton. But I saw it in here now. Alex Glean. So the Evolution pay-per-view, Evolution was the all-women's pay-per-view that WWE did far too long ago, and then they never did another one because I don't know, they dislike money or dislike eyeballs on the product or something. I don't know, right? They just never did another one for whatever dumb reason. So now rumored it has not been confirmed, but it's kind of been like the worst kept secret at this point because numerous reports have said like, hey, they're doing one and they're going to be announcing it probably somewhere in July area of either being announced or it's going to take place. We're not sure yet. And that one will be like they're doing kind of several matches and then kind of this big battle royal so that like everyone on the roster can like be involved, right? So they're going to have some way to like fit as many people into a pay-per-view because right, only so many people can take part in one. Unless you want it to last 9 hours. But yeah, this one that is reportedly coming, and if so, long overdue. And I'm hoping that if that happens, Janelle, at some point, I'm calling it now. If Evolution 2 happens, we're gonna have to do like where you watch it live with me, like we watch it simultaneously live while I'm covering it or whatever. It's your live reactions to that. We gotta figure that out. Like we gotta do that.
I love a live react. You know that.
Yes. Very excited for that. Lots of wrestling this week. And I want to also just mention a quick review here while I've got a minute, because I didn't get to do it last week, I just wanted to highlight a game called a board game, and I have no assets for this, Rich. So you're, I didn't send those to you, so apologies, my bad. For Carvey, the board game, we were talking about a lot about mythology earlier in our Storm interview, about kind of Greek mythology and African mythology, and this one is all about Viking and Norse mythology. And this one, you're essentially taking on, like, you're becoming a group of Vikings that are kind of sailing across the seas. You're raiding, you're collecting resources, and you go kind of a certain number of rounds, and you're just looking to kind of become the most successful and also kind of the most feared throughout the game, right? And the thing is, like, looking at it, the game is really, it has a really nice kind of Viking, almost not traditional, probably putting it, I don't feel like that's the right way. It's gorgeous. It has a really beautiful aesthetic, but it's done in kind of that style. And there's a lot of authenticity in this game, that it feels, the cards, the artwork, all the things feel kind of authentic to that whole Viking feel. And the boards themselves are awesome, because the boards are actually your ship. And so each person has like their own Viking ship in front of them, but it has all these pieces that are kind of missing. And so and it has all these slots that are numbered. So like, you put your shields there, you put your resources there, you put your Vikings, your warriors as you gain them, and you slot them into the ship. You can upgrade the ship. So like, once you do those upgrades, you plot that in. So over time, over the course of the game, this ship becomes more and more upgraded, and you can do more things. So it locks right in to what you can do in the game gameplay wise. So it's really cool. It's got a cool aesthetic, but it's also like, if someone were to look at it and they didn't have like an appreciation for that aesthetic, I could see kind of them going like, oh, that kind of looks like, that's kind of boring. Like, it looks like it wouldn't catch their eye, because there's almost like a matte-ness to it, and it doesn't have these kind of like eye-catching greens and eye-catching blues. Like, it's really pretty, but it doesn't just like kind of grab your attention that way. And while raiding is a part of the Viking experience, I feel like a lot of board games actually don't interpret that like you would assume. Like, there's several games that like, oh, Vikings raid in it, but it's not really raiding. It's like, oh, here's some resources you can devote to this, and here's how you pay for this, and then you gain this thing. That's not raiding. Right, like, that's not like, to me, that's like, raiding is like playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, when you like get your guys off the ship and you jump in, you're all attacking people, and then you claim. So like, that's raiding, and that's not really present in this game, even though it kind of, that's a mechanic. It doesn't feel like it's like a Viking raider game. It's more like this economic resource gathering thing, and that's just not going to be everybody's vibe. It's still cool. It's just, once you get your more options as the game goes on, it opens up and it feels really cool. But before that, it's just kind of slow, and it takes a minute to really build up the pace. So I dug it. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't necessarily go back and play it again, though, is how I kind of feel. Just because like, I feel like it's maybe not for me in all of those respects. So dug it overall. So that is me. Janelle, anything you wanted to throw in there? Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot. Hold on. There is a thing of news that I will say. I saw it in the chat here. WrestleMania 42 did get moved from New Orleans, because it was supposed to be in New Orleans next year, and that got pulled. There's kind of a mystery as to why, because there's reports coming in that part of it was like the government commissions like in New Orleans, and like some of the restructuring stuff that they're dealing with financially and economic wise, like that played a part in it. Others are like, well, WWE didn't pull it all the way. It's kind of, we don't know exactly why yet. We also don't know where it's going to be. So WrestleMania 42 right now currently has no home, and it happens next year. The thing is, some rumors have speculated that Las Vegas would be the home again. They just had it there at 41, but that Las Vegas would be the next thing. But then also maybe it goes to London. They've been wanting to do a show there. So yeah, it's and by the way, no, John Smith, I will not. I'm gonna talk wrestling. So, and that's where we're closing the show. So hey, how's that? How's them apples? So Janelle, anything you wanted to throw in there?
I mean, I've just been really, really enjoying Doctor Who. I think the season's been great, and I will be on another podcast talking about it in full once the season has concluded. And then The Last of Us this week was definitely great because we got a little bit of Joel action, which was needed.
Awesome. Well, of course, make sure to check that out. Make sure to check us out here every single Friday morning. We are here doing our live show for you guys, and we so much appreciate you being a part of the show. Your comments, are amazing when you throw them in. We love the discussions. You can also check us out on audio. We love all of our audio listeners as well. Even when you don't get to jump into the live show, make sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere that podcasts are found on your favorite platform. We're also having tons of content on Comic Book for all of the things we talked about today. So look out for Mission Impossible, Lilo and Stitch, comics, wrestling, movies, TV. All of it is going to be on Comic Book as well. And until next time, peace, deuces.